In this Zoho One beginner's tutorial, I'll show you exactly how to use and set up Zoho One according to best practices. Now, I'm Drew Brockbank, owner of Brockbank Consulting, an elite Zoho partner, and I've set up Zoho for over 180 organizations. What exactly is Zoho One? Well, Zoho One is an all-in-one software platform that offers over 46 different applications that helps you to run your organization better. Now, you can see here we're in the Zoho One interface, and I'm going to take you through it, starting with the home page here. So the home page is designed to give you a snapshot of what's happening across the many different Zoho applications. So you can see here Zoho Books, we got a little component here on the dashboard, we got Zoho Projects, we got Zoho Inventory, and I can add different components to this if I want to, okay? So I can scroll through these different menu options, decide the pre-built components I want to add. Now these are pre-built, so it doesn't mean you can't configure or customize them at all, but it is limited in the amount that you can configure here. So what I'd recommend is over time, as you develop a sense of what you want to see on your dashboard, you go to edit dashboards, you can go to analytics and create a executive dashboard or a custom dashboard for you. Why? Over time, as I've set up these systems for people, I've noticed that people end up in Zoho Analytics. If you don't know what that is, it's Zoho's BI tool. It stands for business intelligence. It's just the most powerful way you can build reports inside of Zoho, and you have the most control of how you see information. So that's an option that you have. Do you have to do that initially? No, but I notice people end up doing that over time, the more advanced they get within the Zoho One platform. So that is the homepage. It gives you a snapshot of what's going on. Now that's right here, but if we go to the right of the home tab here, you're going to see Click, Mail, Calendar, Work Drive, Tasks, Notes, Vault. These are applications. Okay, these are different software applications within Zoho One. There's over 46 of them. And you're going to notice not all 46 are here. So if you ever use the previous Zoho One designer interface, you used to see every single application on the left-hand side. This is different. These apps are what Zoho has determined are personal applications. Zoho One applications that help you with your personal productivity. So you can choose within these which ones you want to see. Now that might be a bit confusing, but here we go. We're in the personal tab. Now I personally am not a huge fan of tabs. I call it the tab apocalypse. It makes sense when you're trying to organize things from an administrative perspective, but as a user of a system, it's like, well, what's personal versus organization? What's organization versus IT? Who's determining how these apps get there? We're going to answer all these questions, but I have a hack for you. This is going to make your life easier. Hit Z in space. It's a hotkey. If you hit Z in space at the same time, you're going to go to Quick Nav. This is how I personally use Zoho One and get around the Zoho One platform. I'll just type in things like Zoho Analytics, and it will say Open Analytics, and I'll hit Enter, and there we go. And then if I ever want to go back to the homepage, I just hit Zoho One at the top left and it brings me back. So if I want to navigate around, I don't really click up here at all. I just hit Z space and I search for whatever application I want to jump to. And then I'll scroll down to the app and I'll hit enter. And that's how I get around. Okay, so I don't even really click up here. I recommend you do the same. The more that you can use hotkeys and avoid your mouse, typically the more productive you can be within navigating across Zoho One. Okay, so I highly recommend that. But with that said, I'm still going to explain what's going on here, even though I recommend that you use Quick Nav. Highly recommend it. It's a lifesaver. So personal's right here. Then you have organization. And organization are the applications that Zoho has determined have to do with everybody. Okay, so we have Connect. That is a social networking app, but it's also like a internal billboard where you can put posts on what's going on and people can interact that. Think of it as like an internal Facebook for the organization. And you have Zoho Learn. This is where you store your SOPs. So you can add these to the organization tab, and then those apps will be available to you to scroll through or to navigate to once it's added to the organization. So you can see here, we got organization, we have feeds, forums. I'm in the Zoho Connect application right now. And then I can add other apps there. I'm going to show you that later in this video. So then to the right of organization, we have IT. Okay, so I can click on IT, but really what this is it's a set of tabs it's a menu that you can flip through different functions of the organization. So in theory, I like this, but in reality, it's a lot to comprehend as a user, and it can be really overwhelming because you're like, well, what's in sales? Like, is marketing automation just in marketing? Is it in marketing and sales? I'm going to show you more how this was organized in a moment. But this is what I want you to understand. You can flip through the different functions of an organization, and you can control what applications different users of Zoho have. They don't have to have access to HR if they're a salesperson, right? They don't have to have access to sales if they're just a marketer, or you can give blanket access to everybody if you want. You get to control that. But the idea here is that the application specific to a function of the business, there's over 46, right? So there's multiple applications for each function, will be organized like this. So you can flip through those. Then to the right of that, you have tools, okay? And you can determine what applications will be in the tools tab, but it's kind of a quick way to get to the applications that you want to navigate to. And then you can add multiple here, but I'm going to save that. Right now, I'm trying to show you how to use everything. And then I'm going to show you how to set things up within that. And that will include how you add things to tools, marketing, organization, personal, things like that. Okay, so that's the tools section right here. And then to the right of that, we've got Zia Search. Now this existed in the previous design of Zoho 1, but it's essentially a way for you to search through all of Zoho 1. I actually really love this feature. You can search for records across multiple applications. Really, really helpful. Absolutely love Zia Search. It's a great tool. And then you have Quick Nav. So what's the difference between Zia Search and Quick Nav? Zia Search is more for finding records, and Quick Nav is more for jumping from application to application, okay? So I really like Quick Nav for moving around. I don't really like to use my mouse to navigate to different applications. I've just found that the more developed the Zoho 1 system becomes, the more I like to use Quick Nav. And we have the Action Panel. Action Panel is a cool idea. It's Zoho's way of showing you what do you have to do today, okay? So you can configure elements of this, but the main idea is that you're trying to see across the Zoho 1 apps, what do you specifically need to focus on? Because there's tasks within Zoho CRM. There are tickets within Desk. And it's like, well, what exactly of all the applications I have action items in, what do I need to do? What meetings do I have? What actions do I need to take? Here's Zoho projects too. All of that in one place. I really like that. Then you can hit this timer in order to show that you are logging time in the system to show that you're active in the system as well, which is great. And you've got approvals here. You got your planner. Action Panel is a great snapshot into what you need to do for the day and what's on your plate. Then here you've got the directory. We're going to go way more into the directory in the how to set up Zoho 1 section, but I started with how to use Zoho so you can get oriented, you can get a sense of how to use the thing before I show you how to set it up. And most of you are going to be users, so you don't need to go through the how to set up section unless you're an administrator. The difference between an admin or administrator and a user is an admin is going to configure, set up, and customize the system. If you're a user, like if you're a salesperson or an individual contributor, you don't really need to configure. You're like, I don't care how to set this thing up. I just need to know how to move around it and use it. Okay, so that's this first part on how to use it. So these are all the settings. We're going to go over that in the second part of this video. Then you've got right here at the very top right, you can see it says DB, those are my initials. And you can go through your Zoho 1 profile that opens up on the right-hand side. You can see your email assigned, your user ID, your organization. You can see I'm in a demo that Zoho gave us. And then you've got some options here that you can flip through as well. So another thing here that's kind of interesting is you can flip this over to dark mode. I'm a dark mode fan. Do you have to do that? No. You can flip to this one or light, dark, and then you've got system. So I'm going to keep it dark for now. But you can flip those back and forth again by going to the top right and then flipping through these appearances. Those are in beta, but I think dark mode looks really good. So I like that. Another quick thing you can do here is you can go over to collapse panel, and then it makes the top menu a little less intimidating, you could say. And then you can just flip through personal, organization, sales, HR, etc. So just know you can collapse that panel as well. Now these options we're seeing at the top right here, where we can search and things like that and add records. These are actually specific to the application we're in. So this top nav, everything above this red line, right here and right here, these are things that we are seeing specifically for Zoho 1. This is navigating through Zoho 1. So kind of think of it almost like a Russian nesting doll, or containers. Your most outer layer of the container is Zoho 1. And then within that, you have applications. Within that, you have modules. And then within that, you have records and then fields. So you have Zoho 1. That's this tab right here. And then within Zoho 1, you have the different modules within the application you chose. So for example, if I go over to Zoho Analytics, then you're going to see the menu has changed here, right? So if I go back, or if I'll go like this, Zoho click, then I'll hit click. You can see here, this set of menu changes when I go over to Zoho Analytics. And now you can see it's changed, okay? So these options are going to show up. These different modules are going to show up based on the application that you're in, okay? So that is how you can use Zoho 1. I talked about spaces, right? Your personal space, your organization space, all these different functions or spaces by the business function. We also talked about dashboard and the action panel. This is how you use Zoho 1 according to best practices. Now we're going to talk about how to set it up. If you want to move this top section of Zoho 1 somewhere else, you can go over to Edit Modules, go over to Navigation Settings, and you have three options. You have top navigation, which is the top here. You have left navigation, which moves things right here, which we're going to show you right now. You can see the applications once we hover over. This is similar to the last Zoho 1 design. If you ever used that, if you didn't, it's totally fine. Then you go over to, these are the applications related to the space that you're in. So you can go over to sales, you can see the sales apps. If I go over to IT, you can see the IT apps. And then you can go over to edit modules, choose which applications show up there. You can also go over to navigation settings and then go over to compact navigation. This was my favorite one. We save this and go over to it. You can see now everything's compressed to one section at the top. Okay, I really like this. When you hover over, you can just scroll through all of the applications across your organization and everything that you've listed here. And then all the recently used ones there. Every time I do my annotation, it disappears. All the recently used applications you have, you can access as well. Then tools, all of that's just compressed to the top there. So I really, really like the ability to do that. Then if you want to switch it back, you can go over to settings, top navigation, save, and then you're right back to the default. So with that, that's how you can change the top navigation to the left navigation or to a compact version. How do you set up Zoho 1 according to best practices? Well, you'll go up here to the directory, the top right. Once you click on that icon, you'll be on the dashboard. Now this is different than the dashboard we saw before. Click back. This dashboard shows you information from specific applications within Zoho 1. When you go to the directory dashboard, these are components or information that's related to managing and setting up Zoho 1. Okay, so not the applications within it, Zoho 1 as a whole. So you're going to see how many users are in your Zoho 1 instance, how many applications you've added there, and a bunch of other information related to managing and setting up Zoho 1. Then you've got the organization tab. It's important to fill out this information. So go to edit, fill out this information. Why? Because every time you add a Zoho application to Zoho 1, we're going to talk more about that in the next section here, applications. Each individual application has its own section for organization, and it has their own setup information. And when you initially set up a new app, it will pull information from this and add it to that app. So it's important to do this now, because if you don't, it will add a bunch of blank information. Then you have to go to each individual application. So it saves you time. Just fill out this information. It's good. You got applications. So applications is where you can add the different software apps to Zoho 1. Because even though there's over 46 different applications that are offered within the Zoho 1 platform, it doesn't mean Zoho's assuming you're going to use all of them. Okay, so this section is really important. You need to go through the different Zoho apps and you need to add the ones that make sense for your organization. Now, you might think to yourself, well, how do I know which apps I'm going to use? And that's where you get into discovery. You need to write out your business processes and not just your current ones. what would be your ideal processes? And then based on your ideal processes, you can determine which applications best fit those processes to support them. Your processes, your best processes should determine the applications, not the other way around. Okay. There is a little give and take there, but that's the basics. Okay, so from here, you've got all the different software applications that are offered in Zoho One. These are in the available to add. And then you can go to add here in order to add an application that's in Zoho One. I'll just give you an example here. I'll add Zoho RPA and see how it says creating account. It's taking information from the organization tab to fill out Zoho RPA's application organization information. Sounds crazy. Just fill out that information in organization. You'll be good. Okay, so I'll hit OK here. And now you can see Zoho RPA. By the way, RPA stands for robotic process automation. It's pretty cool. You can basically record yourself clicking around your screen and then it can replicate it. So for very monotonous tasks, it can basically take over your screen and do a bunch of stuff. It's cool. Okay, so that's Zoho RPA. Now you'll notice it says IT. That should look familiar to you because if we jump back, here is the spaces at the top, personal, organization. Now we have different business functions, sales, HR, IT. And so when you go into the directory, you can choose here in applications which apps should show up where. How do you do that? You click here, space preference, and then you can select all of them. You can unselect all of them. You can clear it. You choose where it goes, personal, organization, sales. Do you even see tools is here too? So if you want tools, an application to show up here, when you go over to the tools section, then you can add those as well. Okay, all of that's available for you to be able to do right here in space preferences. You can add different applications right there. Very, very useful to be able to do it right there. From applications, you can go over to add users. And the important thing here is that people get the proper level of access. Okay, so if you go over to add user, you're going to fill out this information and then it will send them an email address. They'll receive it will send them an email to their email address and it will say something like, you've been invited to the Zoho One organization. And they'll click accept and they'll be able to log in. Now, more likely than not, you don't want to give unrestricted Wild West access to everybody. So how do you determine what they're going to see? Well, if you go over to assign application for your new Zoho One user, you can see the applications you've added them to and what level of access they have. So you can go over to add, and I've added all the applications that are in my Zoho One account to this user, which is my user. But if I had a new user, I would be able to change the level of access they have and add other applications. I'd see an application list here and I could determine what access that they have. I would see what I could add them to certain groups. I could see their account activity, which is interesting. Security policies, devices. There's lots of information here that you can use to manage and set up new users within Zoho One. Then you can change their password. You can edit information. You can do quite a bit here to support users. So that's users. So there's, again, kind of the containers within, you have Zoho One users, then specific application users, and then there's specific application profiles and permissions. And then you have Zoho One profile and permissions, okay? So I'm going to break that down for you. Users are people who just need to be able to get in and use the applications in Zoho One. Makes sense. Admins are people who need to be able to configure and set up Zoho One as a whole. So this is confusing, but someone could be a Zoho CRM admin, but only a Zoho One user, right? So they might need to be able to set up and customize Zoho CRM, but they don't need to add users to Zoho One specifically, and they don't need to add people to multiple apps. Okay, so it can get complicated, but this is how you do it. So admins are able to configure Zoho One. They're able to add themselves to applications, and they're able to do a lot more. So you can assign different admins here by going over to the user list, selecting a user, and then you can say, I'm an organization admin, application admin. There's different levels of permissions there, which is really important to understand so that you give the right access to the right people. And then you can see here, these are service admins that you can configure, and then different roles and what those roles allow you to do. what you can do within Zoho One. Once you can see here, organization owner has the higher level permissions here on what they can do to manage users, applications, etc. Organization admin, application admin, etc. You get to see all of that, and you can configure this so that it meets your requirements for your organization. Then you've got integrations. Okay, this is really confusing for a lot of people. So a lot of people don't know that while it's Zoho One and it's an all-in-one platform, not all the applications are perfectly unified out of the box for you. What do I mean by that? Well, people will set up Zoho marketing automation or Zoho campaigns to send out an email. And they're like, hey, all my contacts from Zoho CRM didn't come over. I thought this was Zoho One. Isn't it one database? It's not one database. Every application has its own database. And that might be confusing to you as a user, but it kind of makes sense because not all information should pass between applications. For example, in Zoho Books, should all of your leads go to Zoho Books? No, it has nothing to do with billing. There's no reason for it to sync. So Zoho leaves it up to you to decide how you're going to integrate different apps with each other. And that might seem annoying and tedious, but they have reasons for it. Okay, so it's not perfectly unified. Hence, we have the integration section. We have to choose how are we going to integrate the different applications together. This is nice. It's part of this new design that Zoho One has, where you can go to integrations and you can set up the integrations that are relevant to you. You can enable these recommended integrations too. So I really like this. They now say, hey, look, a lot of people do this, desk to invoice, books to CRM, all these different integrations you can just enable from one place. Instead of going into individual applications in their integration section, they have a Zoho One overall integration section for setup here. It's really cool. You can see the integrations here, and then you can go to Flow and you can get started with Zoho Flow. Zoho Flow is like Zapier. It's an integration platform as a service. They call it iPaaS. It's Zoho One's version of that. It's actually really good. I use Zoho Flow all the time. You can go to create a flow. You can go see which, this is the gallery, so you can see what applications are available for integrating. Look at how many are here. There's a bunch of Zoho apps. There's a bunch of non-Zoho apps. There's the Zoho ones at the bottom, of course. So that is really important to understand, that you use Zoho Flow to connect things together. And then you've got this integration section to kind of get a master view of how things are integrating. Really like that. Then you can go over to the marketplace. Zoho offers marketplace where third parties can upload different extensions to extend the capability of Zoho. They have their own extensions as well. You can add groups. So you create groups to give access to groups of users instead of doing it one by one. So you can decide, you can create a group here, decide which people are going to be a part of it. So I can give you a demo group here. It can be a collaboration group. A user can belong to multiple groups or department. Users can only belong to one department or smart group. You can bring automations to groups. Okay, so if you want to automate the level of access people have, you can use groups to do that. Then, of course, as you continue, you decide, hey, who's going to moderate or kind of manage this group, and then who's going to be a part of it. I only have one user, so do I really need to do this? No, it doesn't really make sense. But that is exactly how you create a group. Then you go here. I'd have to fill out some information here, and I want to give you a quick overview. So I'm not going to go through that, but it should make sense on how you create groups based on what I showed you. And you got portals. This is a very anticipated and wanted feature from Zoho, Unified Client Portal. What on earth is this? Well, in Zoho One, there's this long-standing issue people run into where Zoho Books has its own portal, Zoho CRM has its own portal. There's many applications within Zoho that Zoho Projects has its own portal. And it gets really confusing because, for example, when I work with a client, I send them invoices. I have their information in Zoho CRM and Zoho Projects, just to name a few. And I don't want to send them 3 different logins for 3 different portals. So people are like, Zoho, why doesn't Zoho One just have a portal with all the applications that you want to choose? So this is their solution so far. There's things I like about it. There's things I think it's new, it's in development, but I'm going to kind of give you an idea of what's going on here. We'll do demo. And essentially what happens is you give access to one of your clients or your customers, okay? So you go to add client, you'll fill this out, they'll be sent an invite saying, hey, welcome. And then you choose what applications they're going to get access to. So Zoho Books, Zoho Social, Zoho Billing, Zoho Inventories on here. Now they're going to add many more applications. This is the beginning of this. It's going to get much better. You can create a custom app, give them access. There's a lot you can do. And then when they jump into the portal, they just see Zoho Books, Zoho Expenses. They can click on it, and then it takes them to the portal, the individual portal for that app. So it's not really a unified interface for all of the applications, but that is where I think they're going with it. So I wish I had better news. It's still a bit siloed, but basically they go to like a launch pad of different applications. They can click on that app and then they get to the specific portal. Okay. So that's how it works. I'd show you here, but then I'd have to do a couple things. But yeah, this is kind of a preview of how things look. You can configure the look of it all. But basically they'll end up on a page that looks exactly like this, and it'll say Zoho Books, Zoho Inventory, Zoho Social, and they click on that and then it takes them to the specific portal for that application. So that's how it works. It's not exactly what people want right now, but I think the vision is to get there eventually. Domains. This has been a long-standing issue as well, where people will set up a domain within Zoho CRM. They'll set it up in Zoho Marketing Automation or Zoho Campaigns to send emails. Now you can just do it in one place, manage your domains in one place at the Zoho One level. Really like this. Great feature there. You got user controls within spaces and applications that you can do here with controls. Security settings, you can organize your different access policies, routing policies, everything related to security here, device management. You can authenticate devices here. You have LDAP, that's Lightweight Directory Access Protocol. You've got Radius. You can authenticate Wi-Fi and other networks for people who are accessing Zoho. So you can enable users to log into Wi-Fi networks using the same credentials as their Zoho One account. You have directory stores, marketplace. This is again where people have third-party applications that are developed. You also have telephony here. This is setting up your VoIP, voice over IP. It's just an internet phone that you can use to make calls through your computer or device. We have different reports here for reporting at the Zoho One level. So logins, users, etc. Anomaly detection, so you can track anomalies within the organization to see what's going on. You can get an overall view of what's going on from a security perspective. And then you can see what's new. So Zoho's going to put here, hey, these are the new things: domain unification, conditional access and routing. All of the new things happening in the Zoho One system will be in the what's new section there. And that is how you can set up Zoho One according to best practices.